Hi everyone,
Now, this live session is basically about Sanatana Dharma.
and let me introduce Maria Wirth. Maria Wirth is German and came to India on a stopover on her way to Australia after finishing her psychology studies at Hamburg University. During her stopover, she met Sri Anandimoy Ma and Devraha Baba. With their blessing, she continued to live in India. She dived into India's spiritual traditions and later she started sharing her insights with German readers through articles and books. Her recent book, Thank You India, is well received among Indians.
Now, this live session is basically about Sanatana Dharma. We all studied the Sanatana Dharma from various different sources. However, we have some queries and we have some certain confusion. And for that, and main question I always find is why the Sanatana Dharma is so important in the modern life. So we thought, and what is the relevance of that? So, in order to answer that query, I have invited scholar and author, Miss Maria Wirth. And hi, Maria. I,
Namaste.
namaste. Right. And here, let me introduce Maria here. She has a very incredible, the background, but I will try to put it in a few words. So Maria Wirth is a German, and she came to India on a stopover, which she never thought in the beginning that would change her destiny. And she intended to travel to Australia, which she never went, and she stayed back and she met Anandimoy Ma and Devrahal Baba, who blessed her. And with their blessing, she dived into Hinduism, that is Sanatana Dharma, and she developed a passion for that. I wouldn't say passion, but I would say it's much more than that. It's a divinity. And with that love for Hinduism, she started learning more, and she also started sharing all that information with her friends back home in Germany. And she started writing articles in various different platforms. Now, recently, she has published a book on the yoga, that is "Thank You India," a German women's journey uh, to the wisdom of yoga. And the book is well received, and it is published by Garuda Publication. So, thank you very much, Maria ji. And let's start. First of all, I must say thank you for taking time from your busy schedule and being with us here. Start with the first question. What are the values of Sanatan Dharma? What you think we should put it across in the today's context?
I find sometimes that Hindus, don't actually quite know what great treasures they have. When you come from outside, I think it's easier to see it. And for me, the values of Sanatana Dharma means it makes a very refined human being. It is an ideal way of life. Often they say it's a way of life. It's an ideal way of life.
Oh.
And the values, basically, you follow your conscience. If it is not distorted, your conscience, you know that what is right. And Sanatana Dharma means basically Dharma, and Dharma means to do what is right in the given situation.
That's
The
right.
Upanishad says, Satyam Vada, Dharma Chara. So speak the truth and do what is right. Now, we have our conscience to do what is right. And if we are not sure, then you have so many scriptures.
Understood.
And it is also according to the station of your life, whether you are a student or a householder or an older person or a sannyasi. Your dharma is different. And one important thing is also not to harm anybody. This would include also, in my view, vegetarianism. that you don't kill animals for food. And
Right.
even if you don't kill, don't make others kill also. The
Ahimsa.
Manusmriti, they keep very much maligning Manusmriti, but I think Manusmriti is it has many, many good things. And it says that even not only the person who kills the animal, but even the one who sells it, who buys it, who cuts it, who serves it, and who eats it, they all are murderers. So this is one. I think if the world would listen to this, it would be already such a big improvement. And it was in ancient time. You were mentioning that Hindu Dharma is the most ancient religion, but
Yes,
ultimately,
ancient and active religion. That is
yeah.
something, ancient but active. It means that there
I
are
mean,
many
it
other
is.
ancient
Yeah.
religions where they're all vanished over a period of time, but the Hinduism is one which stayed back. I hope it prospers further.
Yes, I feel it is the fountainhead, the origin of everything else what came later, and the later things they have kind of. It's like in a play when children whisper something to the other person, and in the end it gets distorted. And in a way, it happened to the different religions. Like Hindu Dharma is very much connected with Zoroaster, Parsis, and then already the Brahman became a little bit more anthropomorphic, more like a person, and then it becomes more in Judaism, and then even more in Christianity and Islam. So I feel here is the original, and you have so much knowledge. It is incredible, and it is so sad that most Indians don't even know about it. I mean, you have millions of texts still, and millions were burned. Imagine what was in these texts. We don't know, no?
I understand.
So I feel the values, it gives you a very roadmap how I should live my life. And one very important thing is also, what is the goal of my life? Why am I actually here?
Purpose of
And
life.
for this, you have also the answer that you discover what you really are.
Yes.
You're not the person. You're not the mind. It's always changing. But you are this pure awareness, one with Brahman. So this made so much sense to me, and then I wanted to live accordingly, and so I wanted to stay on in India.
I see. How was your experience in transitioning from the Western the culture to the Indian culture? I mean, someone who is not familiar with the Hinduism, and later on introducing yourself, how was your journey?
From the culture, I mean, India has so much more life than the West. It is that was a very pleasant change for me. Even though it is maybe it's more comfortable in the West, but ultimately this doesn't matter. I mean, there's much more life in India, much more color. And in the beginning, I appreciated mainly the philosophy of Hindu Dharma, but slowly, I came to appreciate also, especially the temples, the mandirs,
Yes.
and the puja, and the devas. It was a slow process, and I feel what this knowledge which you have, it is actually a revelation. Human beings cannot know it. Like you
Correct.
cannot know that ultimately this whole universe is a kind of virtual reality.
Yes.
It is Maya.
Maya.
We cannot really know now, because the scientists, they had this information from India, they knew about Vedanta. So now we can even come to the conclusion, yes, the Indian rishis were right. But
Correct.
this is one point that we cannot know, and the rishis knew it from the beginning, basically. No?
Yes, in ancient time, many Rishimunis knew it. But of course, the knowledge they put provided in the conceptual form, and now the reality, there is a difference. The link is lost. The reason that we have lost the language to interpret that, read and interpret and study, the Sanskrit is gone from our life. I think that is one of the reason where there is a big disconnect between the Vedas and our scriptures. And so wonderfully you explained about dharma, and that's one of the way we can follow that dharma path. But are there any other areas where that those are relevant in the modern life right now?
I think you have to become a strong person, a strong, self-confident, Atma Vishwas.
Atma Vishwas.
And
Yes.
it means Atma Vishwas. It doesn't mean my little person, but if I have trust, if you, I don't know how it is, mean in the West, sometimes people are very allergic against this word God. When I was young, I mean, you didn't use it, but I got very much used because in India it's very much used. But I feel if you have trust in God, that is a very important thing.
Correct.
Because there must be some great power and intelligence behind this. Mean, when Darwin and when these by chance theories came up, I think at that time the people did not know yet how complex everything is, how complex even one cell is. That our own body is composed of trillions of microbes. I mean, it's incredible, no?
When we talk about, you mentioned about this Darwin theory, and this is very popular in the West. So some of the articles come across, or some talk show where they mention that Darwin's theory is parallel to what Vishnu's avatars, 10 avatars, uh, you know, or like starting with the fish, Matsya avatar, what we call. Then later on becoming the creature that lives on the water and earth. That's like a tortoise, you see. Then later it becomes like what we call Varaha. Varaha means a pig. That's avatar. So that's another. And later it becomes half man and half animal. That's Narsimha. And then become a person who is a Parshuram. Who had a courage and had a lot of knowledge and the skill, but still he lived mostly like a little bit uncivilized, or I would say in a crude way of the life. So then came the ideal person, that's Ram, that's another avatar. And after the Ram and that Satya Yuga went, then we see the Krishna coming. Again, everyone has played their own role, but most of the common part among all these roles were restoring the dharma and restoring the justice. So do you really believe in that, or what is your take on this?
I think the avatars, I don't think it is, you can really equate them with Darwin's theory. Darwin, because in Hindu Dharma, all the Puranas, they start with the creation of the world. And we have a day of Brahman, only one day of Brahman.
Correct.
Lasts for 4.32 billion of years. It has 1,000 Mahayugas. Yes. And now if we just take our small one of those 1,000 Mahayugas, it is already 4.32 million years. Okay. So in the Srimad Bhagavatam, for example, it explains that in the beginning, in the Satya Yuga, we have plenty of time, no? Millions of years. So then in the beginning, in Satya Yuga, people were far more accomplished. Correct. Now this goes absolutely against what modern historians say.
Very true.
And I wished Hindus had the courage to bring it into the debate. Because Satya Yuga, it is the longest lasting. I think it is about 1.7 million years or so. I'm not sure. And in that time, the devas, they have much longer lifespans also, and the rishis. And in the beginning, they keep saying, no, when the day of Brahma starts again, 1,000 Mahayugas ago, the earth has to be brought up, and the creation starts again, and it takes a long time. So that's where the avatars come in.
I see.
In
The
my
evolution
view,
takes time, right?
it takes time. In the beginning, that earth is covered with water, it says, no, and the earth has to come, and then it's a process. And the rishis, when Brahma starts his creation again, it's all delineated. I mean, it's so fascinating. I'm reading now the Srimad Bhagavatam since months, and I have reached only around page 400, and it is 1,700 pages, the English translation. It is. You have so much knowledge, I tell you.
Which one you're following? Bhagavad Gita?
Srimad Bhagavatam, I have the Gorakhpur edition as the English translation of Gorakhpur. Gita Press. Gita Press.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I know it is in the West also. And the West is very much analyzing these things. And I think the whole thing, which is the models which come now out about cosmology and whatever, Big Bang, and so it's all modeled on this. Because we don't know really.
I totally agree.
But nobody will mention it. We will not mention India. It is very strange. Yeah.
But why is
you
that
can
so?
mention.
Why you think that is a like for example?
Because I think India is the last living civilization with this knowledge, and the West tried to push everything on Greece. They may have even invented some Greeks to. They were saying Pythagoras was in India. Much before Pythagoras, the knowledge was already in India. Bodhiana, I think, he had this. I don't know how you pronounce Pythagoras. In German, we say
Pythagoras.
Yeah, Pythagoras. His theorem, it was much older. It was in India. Bodhiana had already discovered it. So there's so much knowledge here. And I feel Hindus are sometimes so, they want to not, how to say, maybe not wanting to be controversial also when the normal history, when the history says, oh, we were so primitive some 20,000 years ago and we came from Africa and all this. They don't want to bring in their view. Many even may not know it because there is unfortunately this big divide in India between the Sanskrit Pandits and those who understand Sanskrit and the so-called Western universities.
Oh.
And there is not much of a communication in my view. Because for very long, those who are in the English universities, they used to look down on what the Pandits had. Because the British made them look down.
Understood.
And this is very, very unfortunate. Because here's the knowledge.
How do we, change this perception and, help people, to reach out this knowledge to more people, especially to our next generation? What's happening? You have studied so much, you know the value of this one. Many Indians, they know, but now because of various reasons, they either they don't have a time or they don't have they're outside, they don't have a grandparents who can teach the grandchildren. So in what is the best way we can teach our children, and how do we start with that?
I feel one very important point is that Sanskrit has to come back because most of the knowledge is in Sanskrit. I heard there are still millions of texts in India, millions.
Correct.
Debroi, I'm not sure now, who translated the Puranas. He was saying that there are some 40 million texts still in India, and
Yes,
only about 5% are translated.
that's right.
And imagine, millions have burned in Nalanda, for example. Millions of
That
texts were
that
burned.
that was very unfortunate.
But
Um,
imagine how much knowledge was here. What is in these million texts? Even if 100 texts of scientists are burned, what a painful loss.
that is painful loss.
So your civilization was
Unfortunately,
highly
people.
advanced. I mean, if you look at the temples, nobody can make these temples even today.
Yes, yes.
Kailasha
Even with
Mandir.
the today's modern technology,
Yeah,
it is impossible to create the temples like Kailash Temple,
yeah, yeah,
Ellora's, or even
yeah.
Hampi. In that case, if you see, it is
Or
extremely difficult. Whether even if you have a laser technology or so many other technologies, but creating that such a beautiful, the architecture, a conceptual, and then
yeah,
B is that putting that into the reality, and those are like such a complex creations.
yeah,
It's not just a structure, but the whole, the knowledge is basically inscribed on those stones. One
yeah,
part is a god, and the second part is about talking about the history, talking about the culture, talking about the dance and literature. So many things are put it on that so that next generation can read and be curious about them. So I think that is the best thing happened, is that our temples remained, so that we at least knew and we could witness that there was something great thing was part of our culture. If without those temples, it would have been highly impossible for us to know what was our actual the background and advanced technology and the science our ancestors had, right?
but even the knowledge, Sandhya,
Mm,
look, this knowledge that
mm,
we are in a planetary system,
mhm,
it cannot be known by human beings. We cannot know that this
mhm.
one light up in the sky is Brihaspati, this is Mangal. We don't know. We cannot know.
Yes, correct,
Then
correct.
how did the ancient rishis know?
Exactly. Now I just come across the WhatsApp, forward. They says the NASA put millions of dollars in the satellite to know when there will be eclipse and when there will be, sunrise and sunset. But Indian
Hmm.
Panchang, Indian calendar, Hindu
Yeah, yeah,
calendar, tells precisely that information without spending so much of our money. And this has been done since thousands and thousands years. We still
yeah.
follow the same the Indian Hindu calendar, you see. So there has to be some kind of a relevance, some kind of a science behind all those things. Another part, like many people may laugh at, but some kind of a astrology and all those kind, there is also some relevance, some science behind it. Of course, there is some
Of course.
connection is lost, and because of that, people are making it as a laughing stock or something. But I'm sure there has to be some kind of a relevance, and which was more predictable. I've come across some of the people who have made better predictions, actually.
I
So
feel there is a science behind it, but
mhm.
we don't know how. Like, how do they know that we are in that Mercury,
Mhm.
Venus,
Mhm.
Earth, Mars? How did
Correct,
they know?
correct.
And that we are
Very
in
true.
a kind of eclipse, elliptical roundabout. We go around the
Right,
sun.
right,
It
right, right.
cannot be known. No?
Yes, very
And
true.
so, and I feel you don't own it really. You don't stress those plus points in favor of your civilization, and
Very.
that it has taught so much to the whole world. No?
Mhm. No, one question I want to simplify this to our viewers. So if we want to simplify on imparting the knowledge to the next generation, so if we focus on that, what are the starting points we can give them? Like tell them, it's very difficult to put that into a structural form. But if instead of structural form, if we say 10 steps they should take it, at the age of when the child is small up to age 5, he or she should do these 10 things. So which you think we can, that is how we can start teaching them
I
something.
think
5 or 8, it
Sanskrit's a
doesn't matter.
language. it should start right from 5 years, 6 years onwards.
I see.
Like when I was in Germany in school, my first foreign language was Latin.
Oh, okay.
And Latin is a very dead language. It's just
Yes.
useful now for medical expressions, no?
Correct.
But we learned first Latin, and then only I learned English.
Oh, is that
So
so?
yeah, and it was still now with my niece, who is much younger than me. I asked her, she also had first Latin.
Oh, okay.
So
There is a lot of Sanskrit is being taught in German schools. That is what we learned. Is that true? How truth is that?
yeah, you should know why it is taught. It's not taught in German school. In I think one English school is teaching it to small children because it has realized that it really develops brain also.
Yes.
But in Germany, there are so many Sanskrit institutes because we have many Sanskrit texts stolen.
So?
Yeah, I came across on the internet. I came across a speech by the head of the Tübingen University from 1839. 1839. It was 4 years after Macaulay started the Indian English education, telling Indians, your tradition is not worth anything. And this professor in Germany in 1839, he says, we are very lucky because a missionary has come from India and he has given to our university 11 volumes of ancient Indian manuscripts.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. And among them, I remember it was Srimad Bhagavatam was there. Srimad Bhagavatam is huge, no? Mahabharata, maybe, at least Bhagavad Gita and Sayana's commentary and 11 types of things. So, and then he said a very interesting thing. He said, it is an ornament for our university, but it is very small in comparison with what the India House has in London. Means what the East India Company has taken out. Now I don't think that India, that says any institution, I don't know, which knows even what manuscripts are abroad and whether they are copies or whether they are even originals. I'm so fascinated by a talk by one Kupuswamy Sanskrit Center in Chennai. It is on the internet, a podcast, where he says that one lady, Dr. Padma Subramaniam, a famous dancer from India, she went for a dance performance in St. Petersburg, Leningrad earlier, in Russia. And there in the museum, the director showed her the Indian manuscripts.
Oh.
And he said there are about 1,000 manuscripts which Russia had captured from Germany.
Oh, okay.
During the war.
Yes, right.
And on the basis of one of those manuscripts, Russia has developed its first intercontinental ballistic missile. Russia was very interested in Indian knowledge. I have seen a picture in a friend's house of some Russians coming in the 1950s already learning yoga.
Is that so? During my childhood in 70s, I have seen my father bringing many Russian magazines for us to learn the Russian culture. So that time it was the India-Russia, so they were coming to India to learn India, and then we were learning Russian culture through the magazines and through it's like cross cultural stuff was going on. So I remember.
I remember when I was in the 1980s in Chanpat in Delhi, people would talk to me in Russian, thinking I'm from Russia.
I see. Oh, the mistaken, right? Yeah, right. So, apart from Sanskrit, what are the next, the easiest way they can do it? They can adopt something in the.
I think also this stories from the Puranas, from even you have so many stories to bring things close for children. I think you should teach how the world came into being. How I mean, it is difficult to if youngsters are not interested. How to make them interested, no? But when I was in the 80s here in India, there was zum Beispiel there was those cartoons about Shiva, about Ama Chitra Katha
Amar
or
Chitra
so.
Katha. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Those were popular
So
when I was young.
those
Yes, we
things,
have gone
or
through that.
even to make children familiar with their tradition, and then when they become older, also it is so natural to believe in a God, in a great power. It is natural for us, no? And then make them reflect. What do you mean by this?
Correct, correct, correct.
Where is this God? If it is so important for our life, if there is really this great power, and Indian rishis say it is inside us, then should we not discover it?
Yes.
It is actually the most important thing, no?
Very true, very true.
If we can make it understand, and we can also, I mean, you have so many rules which are not obvious in normal life, but when you when you say when you give, you get, for example, no? When you are very freely giving, you get also.
Correct,
So
correct.
to make people and to make youngsters also understand that there is not only rights but duty, and you can get some satisfaction from fulfilling your duty.
Correct, correct, correct.
Life is
So,
not only about enjoyment.
yes, doing for something for others, sharing the knowledge, helping people to live their life better is also a purpose of our life. Yes,
Yeah,
great,
and also
great.
knowing that happiness is ultimately within.
Yes, I think
That whatever
many people
outer
are.
happiness you get.
Exactly, exactly. That is the concept has, the change over a period of time. People would earlier say that happiness is within us, within our state of mind, rather than we look for the happiness, validations, and, materialistic, acquirement, or, many other things. So we have those attachments and all. And that's all the happiness comes in. So that's how the malls are thriving, and shopping is going on, fashion industry is surviving on that. I guess they will not be happy with us, but yeah, the looking inside, and looking within, that we
Also,
should teach our children how to be happy, how to be happy, and
yeah,
how to look inside, and be happy. Yes, agree. Any other thing you think will be helpful for them to teach? Now we found 2 points very important. Is one is a teaching Sanskrit, and second one is that helping them to learn how to be happy, and learn helping them to take interest in the our scriptures, not scriptures but stories, Puranas and all. Yes, so that way they will know little bit about Hinduism. Anything
yeah,
you
and
think?
helping them also to question,
Yes. Question. Yes.
yeah.
Question. Yes. And on this note, I would like to ask you, what are the three key points if you want to give out to the audience? Doesn't matter the small or big or elderly. So, what kind of the message you would like to give in order to help them in their personal life, and also if they are happy, or that helps them in the personal life, they can share, create the happy environment in the family and happy society. So it doesn't matter how. So if you can help us out, at least some messages in three or four points, so that would be
I
great.
feel most helpful for me is that I have trust that
Mhm.
Bhagwan is here
I think that's a
and that
faith
I
is
can
very
ask for
important.
help.
Correct.
And that it doesn't mean that my life is always going smoothly.
Mhm.
Life is up and down somehow. It has to be accepted. There comes also karma comes in. What I get, what I deserve, basically. So when you have this attitude, you can accept it. That doesn't mean that you don't have to change it. But at first,
I think this is
don't
a good
resist
point.
so much. Don't resist it,
Accepting.
accept it, and then do your best to get out of the situation.
So the good
Yeah,
days,
not
bad
only
days.
let it pass, but if you have option to change the situation, then you can change it in a
Positive.
more efficient way. If you are peaceful in your mind, you said, okay, that is now what is the situation. Now, how do I get out of it? And another point is, I feel to often stop and feel what is inside. How you we are living always in the now, and we keep always running somewhere else in the future or past. No? So to be, I practice this when I'm writing. I sometimes it's a laptop when I'm sitting, then sometimes I just say stop.
Understood.
And
So, how
then
do you look within yourself when you are mentioning that? Any particular guidance you want to give? How do you look inside?
I don't know. My meditation, I can't say that it is very good. Sometimes it is very good. Sometimes a lot of thoughts comes also. But I feel mantra is very helpful to
Mantra.
start.
Oh, great.
I start with mantra, and it depends also. What I also sometimes often forget before meditation to tell myself, look, now those 15 minutes at least. Don't interfere too much my mind, not sitting down and wanting to what is happening in America now or whatever, no? So the mind can pull you out
I
very
think
quickly. So in this
everyone
way,
is too
just
much concerned about this, what is happening in
yeah.
America. It's such a wonderful to know this. But any particular type of meditation you are following, or any just sit quietly and observe your thoughts?
uh, different ones. I mean, sometimes I do mantra. Like I repeat every day now since quite some time. I have maybe since almost 1.5 years now, the Mrityunjaya mantra.
Oh, Mrityunjaya.
The Ganapati Upanishad I repeat since 12 years or so, every day more. And then what I also feel is very helpful if when you wake up and you catch yourself in this state where you are not yet fully
Awake.
not yet fully I, no? When you are I, when you are awake, but you are not yet Maria or Sandhya. So I
Understood.
feel this is sometimes I feel it is a very helpful state too, and the best ideas come during that afterwards.
I see. Okay. Nowadays,
Inspiration
what is
comes.
happening? Everybody watch that WhatsApp, Facebook, and everything in the morning, and that
Mm.
best ideas are lost in
Yeah,
those
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know
yeah, yeah,
external inputs. Yeah, I think that's a good way of starting the day with the mantra, and also with the positive thoughts in the morning, and finding what focusing on what to do in the day, or maybe what to do in the long term or something. So helping our brain to think and open up to different ideas, I think that's better than what we call taking the external inputs through various sources, whether it is a
yeah,
TV news,
yeah,
or
yeah,
social media, or whatsoever it is. So I think this is a good point. Thank you so much,
yeah.
Mariaji, and being with us. And it's like a pleasure having you, and honor to be to
Thank
talk to
you.
you. Thank you so much. Namaste.